everyone. Welcome to Voices of Holt. My name is Bharti, and this is my beautiful co host, Daniela. And today we have a special guest here with us. Both of our professors, actually, finance professor, Professor George Blount. Hi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It is our pleasure. I am so excited for this, guys. We haven't recorded in so long. It feels great to be back home. This is like my space. So, I am a talker. So, I enjoy this very much. And it is my pleasure to be here not only with my great friend and co host, Barthi, but of course with Professor Blunt, that is our amazing professor of different finance subjects. He's been at Holt for around 2 years now, right?
Correct.
And he is so amazing as a professor, but also has a bit of a story as a professional that it's very interesting in financial therapy. So his research is mainly focused on financial decision making, and now we just want to know a bit about him and want to all the Holt community and people out there that are seeing us and listening to us to be able to get to know him a bit better. So do you want to say anything else about you, Professor, that I did not mention?
No, I just have awesome students, and so I think that that makes it easy to do the thing that I do. So that is the only addition that I.
Yeah, that's so nice. Thank you so much. I know I'm your favorite. Okay. So let's start with the question that probably all of you are asking by seeing the title that has something related to financial therapy. I had the same question when the professor was introducing himself. So, what is financial therapy?
Great question. It's usually the one thing I hear often. So, financial therapy is a combination of financial psychology and financial planning. So, I'll break that down because it can be difficult to understand those two if you don't understand finance. So, financial planning is really a series of steps: education, retirement, budgeting, tax planning, all of those things. So, very logistical in terms of how you want to grow your wealth. Financial psychology really deals with all of the inhibitors to you growing your wealth: the anxieties, the stress, the fear, the shame, all of those emotional factors that make it difficult for you to go about your financial planning. And so when you combine those two together, what you deal with is the emotional relationship that people have with money. How do you correct that relationship so that way people feel motivated as opposed to deflated, if that's the case? And then also where you can actually be more purposeful with your decision making and not have it focused solely on money. And so those are some of the aspects of financial therapy that I think is most relevant for the students, but I think also for the way in which I like to communicate it to people.
That's amazing. It is so cool to hear because this, like my class with you, was the first time I heard about financial therapy, and I had never seen finance from that angle. It was either number one, something I'm trying to maintain and spend less of or budget myself with, or number two, a subject that I'm really bad at. But learning about that from you over classes and over conversations with your husband extremely cool and interesting, which is what we'll dive more into in this episode. But you've been in the field of financial therapy for a bit. How did you know this was your thing? How did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
Nope, another great question. I think my background is in wealth management. So I did financial advising, financial planning, trading, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, all of that. And I had a career in wealth management for over 20 years. But what I started to realize is that not from a business standpoint, but from more of a personal standpoint, when people ask you questions about finance, it's not about what's a good stock or what's a good bond. It's like, how do I do X or how do I do Y or why can't I do this? And so you start to realize that people are really struggling to understand what their interaction is with money and why money isn't helping them, when they're putting all this in. And that just became interesting. So I wanted to focus more on that. And when I tried to do this in corporate, it just wasn't received the way that I thought it should be. And so I left. I figured if there wasn't going to be competition for me in corporate America, I can do this on my own. And so really understanding that when you talk to people, they don't talk to you about stocks and bonds. They talk about fear and shame and anxiety. When you try to actually help people, you're not going to help them by opening an account. You help them by making them feel better, by giving them confidence to do something. So, financial therapy, in the way in which I like to do it, is really through the sense of building self worth. If people have dignity, if people have respect, and if you demand that of yourself and the people that you come in contact with, then you have a purpose. And if you're always moving towards your purpose, that is going to be your anchor and your guiding light. And money can help you with your purpose, but money can't define your purpose. It can't create purpose for you. And so without purpose, without direction, what can money really do for you? Nothing, you know? And so if we have purpose and if we have direction, money can help you get there. It can, make it a little bit easier for you. You can do it faster. Maybe it takes you longer, but the focus is that you have belief, that you have goals, that you have purpose, that you're doing something. Because if you're counting on money to do that for you, money is an evil source when you don't actually have innate control over what it's doing to you. And so that's what I figured was the best way for me to help out society, not by selling mutual funds and retirement plans and stocks and bonds, but really like coming and talking to people and saying like, why are you scared? Or I know you're scared. Like, you don't have to tell me. Like, I've been broke too, and so don't lie to me. Like, I can look in your face and say, look, I know that you're scared of just being broke. And we need to correct that, because if that's the way you're going to live life, you're always going to be taking unnecessary risks. You're going to be blind to opportunities. And if we could just say, what do you want to do, and focus on that, that's just math and logic. And so most people don't really get to that point where we just align our goals to math and logic and help us move forward. And in that case, people just feel shame, anxiety, discouraged. And that's why we can change it. So that's what I've been doing.
Well, that sounds amazing. And I love how it has a further purpose than just like, oh, money management. There is so much more that is involved. And it is great to understand that even in the financial space, there's space for emotions. And emotions should be showcased and highlighted and recognized. And part of every single decision we make in life, it's part of emotions and the way we just see life. So you already talked about the pattern you see constantly when you're coaching in financial therapy, like the normal fears that come up, the worries, the nervousness, and all this anxious feeling of, yeah, I don't want to be broke, or I'm already broke. How do I fix it? And how does this affect my life relationships and just the way I see life, or continue it? So my next question would be something like that feeling of guilt. That is one of the major feelings I feel that all of us at some point do get when we are spending. Could be in a simple thing like spending on your Starbucks coffee, or it could be a more complicated thing like spending on a designer bag as your self birthday gift. So how do you manage to explain to people, or what advices do you give when is managing that feeling of guilt and shame when spending for themselves?
Yeah, so good question, because guilt and shame come up a lot. Let's talk about guilt first, because guilt is really an emotion that comes from regret. And so regret, if we're talking about that, it's when you didn't have purpose and kind of you just do something on a whim. And so a lot of the things we can do around money is just to make sure we don't regret much. And I think one of the aspects of your mindset that we have to improve is that you deserve certain things. You don't deserve to go to work every day and not enjoy yourself. And I think when you tell yourself, and this is a very important thing, if I tell myself I deserve a massage, you know what, I deserve a drink, it's been a bad day, you know what, I'm going to go and get that massage. I'm going to go and get that drink because I've made the decision in my mind that I deserve it, because I'm acknowledging what happened in the day. What happens if you say, I deserve this drink or I deserve this massage, and you don't go and do it? Well, you just let the day take you over.
Yeah, probably then those feelings kind of itch you at the end of the day. And that's when burnout comes in and all of this negative feelings and reactions to
You're
life.
not rewarding yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how much of that is just like, when you know that you want to do something, how is money keeping you from doing it? And then do you start to disdain money, get angry with money, You want to fight money because money is keeping you from doing the things that you deserve. And once we start to have this type of relationship with money as if money is keeping you from getting that massage, as if money is keeping you from doing the things that you deserve, that's when it becomes detrimental. And that's when we have to start to create some balance between, yes, you do deserve this, you don't deserve it every day, right? And so, how do we actually deal with moderation?
That is such an important point, especially with spending, because I feel like when you say deserve, it is exactly something not that you deserve every single day, but like it's something you deserve as a treat to yourself, or maybe you finished an exam and you did really good, or even bad, but you deserve to treat yourself for hard work. But then there's a line that we need to draw between what we need, what we deserve, which is kind of also what we want. So in terms of finance and spending, what is your definition of needs and wants?
Yeah, so another good question because needs and wants are often the conflict that we experience. This is why people can't budget. Let's just talk about needs. Needs are uh, physiology. So we have to drink, we have to eat, we have to sleep, we need security, so housing, stuff like that, utilities. So all those things are our needs. But we also have wants. We want to be happy. We want to be entertained. We want to spend time with our family. And so when we think about needs and wants, they're necessary parts of our life. And you have to actually come up with an anchor that says, I am going to give myself needs and wants every day, every
Right.
week, or every month. But what you cannot do is you cannot say, I'm always going to satisfy my needs. I'm going to put all of my wants to the end. Like, that's not healthy. And so you can easily say, hey, I'm going to satisfy my needs and my wants every day. And that's an anchor. I can also say I'm going to satisfy my needs and wants once a week because I'm telling myself that I'm going to do it. But if I tell myself, yep, I'm just going to satisfy my needs and I'm not going to take care of my wants at all, what's that going to do to your mind? Like, where's the balance that's starting to come from there? You're telling yourself you don't deserve. You're telling yourself that I am not worthy. And it's you. You just simply have to convince yourself. Nobody else is putting that goal or that barrier in front of you. So when we talk about needs and wants, it is necessary to be aware of the fact that needs and wants are necessary for everybody at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And you need to come up with your balance between your needs and wants without depriving yourself of your wants. Now, what that balance is, that's going to depend on everybody. It can be 60-40, 80-20, whatever the case may be. But it shouldn't be 50-50, and it definitely is not 100%
Yeah.
towards your needs, right? And we can do a lot of work figuring out what that is.
I love that you explain it that way because I feel like that just kind of like summarizes everything we're trying to say here. And it's that needs and wants should both be part of your life and your money spending and your financial plan, but they shouldn't be 50-50. That is not realistic. I don't think in anyone's case, not even the people
Yeah.
with the most money or the people with the least amount of money. 50-50 is not realistic when it comes to wants and needs. And it's also great that you said it depends on each person's case. I feel like sometimes the main problem that we see out there in the media is that all this advices are so general. They're like, oh yeah, you should budget like this. And sometimes you see like, oh, how should a college student budget? And you see those videos and they all say the same thing. And I just think, well, I am a college student, but probably my situation is different than other college students.
Yeah.
So not all college students have exactly the same situation and should budget all the same and decide that maybe my possibilities allow me to do a 30-70 to my wants and needs. But maybe somebody else's possibilities allow them to do a bit higher and to do an 80-20. So good for you. If you can, decide more to your wants and less to your needs, or just if you have more balance than I do right now because you have another job or just another income or your parents have a better possibility of helping you financially. So diving into that dive space of understanding that our main audience are college students just like us or prospective college students that are thinking about coming to Holt or moving out of their country and starting this new life. I think we all went into that shock of, for the first time, having to manage money of our own.
Yeah.
Maybe it's money that we make, or it's money that our parents give us, and this it's the first time we do have to like keep a budget for the first time in our lives, and understand that this is part of adulthood and growing. So, what is that main advice? Even understanding that advice is not that general, but if you could give a general advice to someone that just started to earn some money and it's trying to, or to budget some money and is trying to allocate it and live on their own, or just got their first job and it's the first time they have to allocate that money, what is that like main piece of advice that you would give them?
Yeah, so great question because it happens to everyone. We get to this point where we start spending our money, and like there's a technical term for all the financial advice that's out there. It's trash because it doesn't take into account every single individual and what they're doing, right? And to your point, it's generalities that we think money can fix. Here's what my acronym is: that I want everybody to be fine. That means financially independent, nurtured, and empowered. And that basically means that when you start your career, I want you to already think about the end of your career. And I want you to think about whether you want to ball hard in the beginning of your career or if you want to manage the beginning of your career so that way you ball hard for like 40 years, like when you're 50. I think one of the things that I did is my career was really based on the objective of doing what I'm doing right now, teaching, or at least having the flexibility to teach. And so that was predicated on understanding that by the time I turned 50, I did not want to be in corporate America anymore. Like, I did not want to wake up to an alarm. I did not want to have somebody kind of directing me towards tasks that I didn't think were impactful in the world. And so from the time I was 20, I started to think, by the time I'm 50, this is what I need to be doing.
Right.
And I was actually able to achieve this before I turned 50 because I'm 50 now, but I was able to get, the doctorate and start working all this when I turned 45. And that was a big moment for me too because I had just achieved my goals and now I just had to say, okay, well, what do I do going forward? And I think that is the one bit of advice that I would give everybody is to start your career by thinking about when you want to stop because that's when you're really going to start to do the stuff that you want to do for the longest amount of time. And so now that I'm here and I have this flexibility, I can teach and I work and I can help out entrepreneurs, I can do this for a while without being tired because I know that it is going to be impactful. And so that's kind of back to this conversation of needs and wants. For me to want a better society, for me to want to have better outcomes for my daughter and like for you than I had, it was needed for me to have a better plan, right? It was required of me to say, I need to start, I need to finish, and I need to help. And as a result of that, I factored in a way to actually just live my life with financial independence, right? I know what's important to me is in terms of like wealth, value, so I'm able to share knowledge with other people. And I'm empowered. I'm confident. Like you can't tell me that I'm not doing something that I'm good at. You can't tell me that this isn't something that is needed for the world, and it feels good. And so being fine, financially independent, nurtured, and empowered is everybody's goal. And I just want you to get there faster. And the way that you do that is by being very aware of what you want to do when you're not working.
Mm-hmm. That is so inspiring. I think just your journey of knowing when to step out of the industry when it didn't feel right for you and doing something for yourself and what you're passionate about, and then achieving your goals and what you wanted to do before your goal of the age you wanted to do it in is actually so amazing. And it's an example of you can do what you're passionate about and what you are dreaming of, even if there isn't necessarily everything provided to you or all the resources provided to you, because you can create it for yourself and you can create those new experiences. And that's just so inspiring to me. So thank you for
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
It was lovely to have you here. It was lovely to share this time with you. And thank you, everyone that's watching and listening to us. I hope you find this topic as interesting as we all did. See you next time.
Thank you all.